classics and the new delights. The unapologetic geek will lead the way with facts and fun to fill your day. Discussing every detail, every frame, from the eerie to the loud and the tame. Gig along with all that's great. Those Sunday vibes you can't debate. Tug along with the Sunday crew. Geeking out is what we do. Giggle on, it's gonna be great. Don't be late, let's celebrate.
Greetings! Welcome to another episode of Tug Chat, where we're going to continue our discussion of great actors that we like, and actresses, of course. And also, I thought maybe towards the end we could just briefly discuss the Oscars. Not necessarily this year's Oscars, because I don't know anything about this year's Oscars, but just how the Oscars have developed over the years and become irrelevant, in my opinion. But
you mean devolved?
Have definitely devolved. I figure we could talk about that. But before we get to any of that, I did want to say hi to the people in the chat. Let's see, we've got Sister Sarah's here. She is wishing you good to feel better, Chance. Let's see, Danny Staten is also here. Greetings. Greetings, Danny. Just Carowin is here. Hello, Just Carowin. And BK is here. Awesome. Hello, BK. Always good to see you. And yeah, I'll keep saying hi to people as they come in. But I also, before we really get launched into actors, I did want to talk about one in particular, and that's Gene Hackman, who, as we all know, passed last week, just a few days ago, honestly. And I didn't really want to get into the details of like his death and all that stuff. I just wanted to honor him and all the many great roles he was in. I mean, the first thing I always think of, obviously, is Lex Luthor, but he's done so much more than just that. I mean, he was the best Lex Luthor, no question about it. But he was also in a lot of movies I love. Enemy of the States, The Replacements, The Conversation, The French Connection, and even like comedies like The Birdcage or submarine movies like Crimson Tide. I really like him in that. He was a very versatile guy who, I think as an actor, he had a very like naturalistic style that a lot of actors struggle with. Like, he never really seemed like he was acting, which is that's the goal, right? So I think he was a wonderful actor, and he is sorely, sorely missed.
Yes, he is. Definitely. I like The French Connection. That's my favorite one with him.
I think
yes, we should just get Gene Hackman out of the way now.
Yeah. If I had to pick, for some reason, I thought he was absolutely outstanding in the Poseidon Adventure.
Oh, yes, of course.
Even though that was an ensemble cast. I mean, when you're with that much talent up against you and you're still the standout, I mean, you got a huge props. Oh, and by the way, one of my favorite, if not the favorite comedy of mine of all time is Gene Wilder's Young Frankenstein.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's in one scene in that movie and he steals the film.
Yeah.
So,
Blind.
Yeah, the blind guy. The
blind guy, exactly, which is actually from Frankenstein. Actually, Tug, you did a whole video about that, about most of the best segments from Young Frankenstein are actually from Young Frankenstein, are actually from Frankenstein 2. Bride
of Frankenstein. Yeah. Because, the whole blind guy thing was in Bride of Frankenstein, not the original Frankenstein. It's not in the book either, not really. Like, there's a kind of a scene like that in the book where Frankenstein's monster is, like, sitting outside of a house and like getting to know the family just because he's like staring at them through the walls, which is creepy, and falling in love with the daughter and all that. And the guy's not completely blind, but he is a lot more accepting of Frankenstein's monster when Frankenstein's monster finally does reveal himself. That's in the book. But yeah, he's not blind. That was James Whale's invention for Bride of Frankenstein.
I never read the book, and I'm ashamed of myself that I've never read Frankenstein.
Look,
Yeah.
it's worth reading, but I'm not going to say it's an easy read. It's very like
Cumbersome.
1800
Yeah.
Mhm.
that Baroque style where you got a sentence that can last 3 pages.
Mhm.
Audiobook. I'll get an audiobook.
That's probably good. Find one that's read by somebody cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and how could I forget The Unforgiven? He's the villain in The Unforgiven.
Oh, yeah.
He's so good in that. He didn't do nearly enough westerns.
I did a whole tribute to him last October on my channel, the Nostalgic Pod Blast, and Gary Carpenter in chat mentioned the Brady Bunch. He was actually the first person chosen to play Mike Brady in the Brady Bunch, and he turned it down.
Right.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I had forgotten.
And I love the conversation, the movie that you mentioned, Eric.
Yep.
That's one of the best. I studied that in film class in college. Love that movie. And I like one that gets panned a lot, The Quick and the Dead.
Oh yeah, that's another
Yeah.
western that he did. He's good in that.
Yeah, that's a
Hey,
great one.
Yeah, I don't know if he, did that for the paycheck or what, but I just thought he was an amazing actor in that. He was good as a villain or as a good guy. And then Mississippi Burning, that's
Mississippi
a tough
Burning.
movie.
Yeah.
Tough movie.
That's one of those movies I'm glad I've seen, but I don't really want to watch it ever again.
I've only seen it one time in the theater. I
Yeah.
could never watch it again. It left such an impression.
That scene in the barber shop just stays with you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Mhm.
God. And then there was an article I read from a very reputable source I won't mention that said that he was in a Fugitive episode in the 60s, and that's not true. He was in The Invaders
Okay.
episode
Oh.
titled The Spores, which I have right here. See, Gene Hackman and Wayne
Oh,
Rogers from MASH.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, and I echo what you said about the best Lex Luthor. I think he was the best
Mhm.
Lex Luthor, hands
I don't
down.
even think that's up for debate.
No, here's good.
You didn't like Kevin Spacey?
I did like Kevin Spacey as Lex
Yeah.
Luthor. I thought he did a pretty good job, but he's no Gene
Hackman
Hackman.
killed it.
We have
Yeah.
a new Lex Luthor, of course, in the new Superman from
Uh-oh.
July 11th, 2025. That'll be exciting. And I liked the Lex okay in Smallville, but I digress.
No, yeah, he was all right. Yeah. I didn't watch a ton of Smallville, but I do remember him. Yeah.
What I remember most about that is John Glover played his father, and I thought he was actually more interesting than Lex himself. And it's funny because we always hear about Lex's father and about how one of Lex's biggest things is he's overcoming issues he had with his dad. So I love the fact that we actually finally see him, and I thought John Glover did an outstanding job playing his sort of like Elon Musk style, like billionaire type. You know what I'm saying?
Oh God.
In that Poseidon adventure, that death scene, you can't top it. He was like the
Yeah, where
biggest
he's like
bad
yelling at God. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, so
preacher
good.
I've ever seen. How many lives are you gonna take? Sacrifice himself. Awesome stuff.
It is that scene's like one of the best. It just is, and he's calling to Ernest Borgnine and say, "You get them out of here! You get them out of here!" So it's
Yeah.
like even in his last moments, all he can really think about is his people,
Saving him. Yeah.
who he really only just met. I mean, it's just it's inspirational for crying out loud.
Yeah.
What a
And that was
minute.
like right after the gut punch of Shelley Winters dying.
Oh
man.
yeah, that was so sad.
And how about Nancy Drew, Pamela Sue Martin's reaction to the death of Gene Hackman's character? I mean, that
Oh, yeah.
scream was chilling. When he falls
I
into
can
the
hear it in my head. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Anyway, I want to really quickly give a shout out to Sarah. She's gifted a membership on my channel. She's gifted a
Aw.
membership on your channel, Chance.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
She's doing awesome.
Oh, she
Thank you
is?
so much for your support. We were
Yeah.
talking behind the scenes about like showing support for everybody in our community, and
Mhm.
you do an amazing job, Sarah. You
sure
are
does.
the best.
She
You
sure does.
you prop us all up, and we love you.
You are based as hell. We all love you, Sarah.
Really. She's the most selfless person, and I'm honored to
Yeah,
be her
me
friend.
too. Me too.
She's a sister, like you say, Thrash, Sister Sarah.
Yeah, I
yeah,
coined that
she's
term.
great. She's
I
great.
coined that term.
I love Sarah. She's a girl.
Hey, Joe Gutfeld, watching Facebook Live on my platforms. Nice to see you.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, Joe Gutfeld. Cool.
Trying to reopen my stream.
Rest in peace, Gene Hackman. Yeah, it's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. He was 95. I was on set this week, and I was talking to this guy, Bob, who's older than me. No relation to Thrash. And I said,
Another Bob?
this was Friday. I'm like, I'm still sad about Gene Hackman. He's like, why? He was 95. And I just thought that's such a cavalier thing to say. He must not be a big movie lover, you know?
Mm.
Anyway.
I mean, yeah, you can say like, I listen to a lot of Australian podcasts and I have a couple of Australian friends. And whenever somebody dies and they're older, they always say, good innings. It's a way of showing respect that they made it that long and it's still sad that they're passing, but you can acknowledge that, they made it to, 95, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And he retired in 2004. He retired over 21 years ago because of a heart condition that he was diagnosed with.
Right.
He had reportedly he had a bad stress test, and so he retired. So his last 21 years have been totally happy and blessed, and it looked like he had a really nice crib out there in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Oh, Danny, good catch, by the way. Love it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
You should see that Invaders episode, The Spores. It's really good, and Hackman plays an alien. And you learn that right from the get-go before the opening credits. So that's not a big spoiler. But
The Invaders was a very underappreciated show. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
and it's like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers episode with pod people.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
I
check it out.
always had a hunch that the Invaders was actually. It's like they had conceptualized doing Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but somehow it was in production hell. So Invaders was actually the logical conclusion, where because the similarities between Body Snatchers and Invaders are, you can certainly see it. I mean,
Larry,
it's not a direct transition, but it's certainly there.
Larry Cohen created the Invaders, and he wanted it to be more like a study in paranoia, like the McCarthyism years. And do you ever see, speaking of Body Snatchers, the 1993 version of Body Snatchers with Gabby Anwar? That's a pretty cool version. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that one gets panned all the time, and I'm like, I think it's actually pretty solid. The only one that was really bad was the one with Kidman. I thought that
Nicole
one was
Kidman and Daniel Craig, where it's like they're not actually pod people. Like, you took away the one thing that makes it interesting.
Yeah, but the 93 one, I mean, it's kind of inconsistent. It just, it's almost like I think it got rushed or there were some deleted scenes. But I mean,
it does have a very it has a campy feel to it, and I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. So
that could be it. That could be it.
You've got Arlie Ermy looking directly into the camera, going conform. It's a little silly.
It's in Alabama too, isn't it? Like on a military base.
Yeah, it's on a military base. Yeah,
now I think it's in the deep south or something.
I did love the scene where when the first time we get the scream, it's like something out of A Wrinkle in Time. All the doors open up simultaneously. I don't know how many times they had to do that shot. Because literally, it's like they were all waiting to open the door, like, boom, they're out. And then that sort of like resistance squad just shows up out of nowhere, go, we'll cover you. And then we never see them again. It's like, where did they come from? I mean, I have a pretty good idea where they went, but where did they come from? But it's just it's an amazing scene. It's like the best scene of the whole movie.
Yes,
Danny is pointing out that the Invaders just started from the beginning on MeTV. Which is cool.
Oh,
yeah.
Good.
Oh,
Maybe I'll see it completely this time.
I've never seen the whole thing. I've only seen an episode here and there. Yeah,
and you need to see it. It's like
I saw something about them.
Episode 2 was on last night. It has Roddy McDowell in it before Planet of the Apes.
Roddy.
And Harold Gould.
Yeah.
The original Richard Cunningham and the Love American Style pilot of Happy Days.
I was watching something about shows that were like on and then they were off. They've been like putting them on my main YouTube thing and as an advertisement. So I watch it, and then Invaders was one of those shows where it was like, pulled off the air before it was anything bigger than it was. And I noticed, that Harold Gould was in it, and I was like,
twice.
Him? Yeah. It's like, because I just picture him from movies like MASH and things like that. I think he was in MASH.
The MeTV prints are the ones from 1992 when the Sci-Fi Channel first started, and they're time compressed in many cases. Not all of them. I think 5 are not, but they're sped up. So, and they're really bad washed out prints too from World Vision. before. Remember what it said the end World Vision? It was on the end of Little House on the Prairie in syndication. And anyway,
Oh yeah, those are really
Aaron
good ones.
Spelling Company. You know, wow. Anyway,
Yeah.
I did appreciate early Sci-Fi Channel though, because they would do that. They would take all these old shows and show them again for like my generation. So I appreciated them for that.
And Thrash the Invisible Man, and shows that only lasted like 13 or 14 episodes. They had like the Sci-Fi series collection. The Immortal was a good show where this guy had immortal blood, and all these rich people wanted to find him for a transfusion, so they'd live forever, and they wanted to kill him.
That's cool.
Wow.
I've never even heard of that. That sounds
blood
awesome.
out of them.
Yeah, that's the guy from Rat Patrol started it.
Yeah, that's Linda Day's husband. He died in '83 of a heart attack, unfortunately. Now I can't think of his name. It'll come to me, but yeah.
But that guy. But yeah, when the Sci-Fi Channel first started, it showed a lot of vintage sci-fi. You know, now it doesn't. In fact, I don't even think they show science fiction anymore. I think it's like MTV. You know,
They even changed their name, so it's SYFY.
That's so stupid, that spelling.
Yeah.
I think. Bad word.
The only thing I think that stays the same with them is on New Year's they do the Twilight Zone marathon, and that's about it. I mean, like everything else on there's changed.
Twilight Zone is too good for them.
Yeah, I know.
Christopher George, that's his name.
Oh, Danny
for the
and
win.
Indy both
For the
coming
win.
in for the win. There we go.
Ooh.
Indy and Danny, they both did it.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Howard Cunningham, not Richie Cunningham. Yeah.
Did I say Richie? Howard, yes, of course. Howard
Easy
Cunningham.
Opie Cunningham.
Opie
Sorry, India. Yeah, I know. He just had a birthday, Ron Howard.
Did he really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think yesterday.
Cool. He Ron Howard was he got started with
Andy Griffith Show.
no, like as a director.
Dobie Gillis. He was on Dobie Gillis. Oh, yeah.
Splash.
No,
Splash was his-
I'm like
No, he
Roger
did,
Corman. I was trying to think of the name Roger Corman. He was a
Night
student
Shift,
of
I
Roger
think,
Corman.
was his
Yeah,
first
yeah.
big movie he directed.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
with Henry Winkler and
Which was
Okay.
a Corman flick. Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, Sugarland Express, I think. No, that was Spielberg.
That was Spielberg. Yeah.
But yeah, it was like a road movie that Cunningham was on. And
Do
I
you
keep
guys
calling him
remember him?
Cunningham. His name isn't Cunningham, it's Howard.
Yeah.
Tug, I know Tracy, you've heard of this show and Thrash, The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. or
Yeah,
just Dobie
I
Gillis.
just watched that.
I've heard
Ron
about that.
Howard. He was on there before Andy Griffith Show as a little kid, a little shyster that would try to swindle money, and he took like the bottles from the back of the store to get the
Try to
bottle
make money on
deposit.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't know that. I know Warren Beatty played the rival.
Yes.
Dobie Gillis's ongoing rival, the rich kid.
I liked
With Thalia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Susie
I
Weld.
liked,
Really well done.
I love Bob Denver in that role. I thought it was pretty funny.
Work.
Yeah.
I remember Bob Denver from the Oh God movies. Growing up, I loved those movies. Like Oh God and Oh God, You Devil. Yeah.
I like George Burns.
George Burns was classic. He's
Well,
one of the best
Yeah.
gods ever.
Always smoking that cigar.
Made you wonder what was in the cigar. I'm just kidding. Oh my gosh.
Now I'm
Yeah,
trying to
he's
think of
great.
other actors who've played God. And Morgan Freeman, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Groucho Marx played him in an old what was the name of it? It was a 60s cult film. But yeah, Groucho Marx plays him.
That sounds awesome. I have no idea. But okay.
Wilfred Hyde, what's his name? Wilfred Hyde Price or whatever, the old British guy. He played God in Xanadu.
Oh.
I don't count
Oh,
Xanadu as a
okay.
movie.
And then speaking of Living Newton John, what was the other one? Two of a Kind. There was a God in that. I think it was
there was.
not
Oh my
Charles
God, you're
Durning.
right.
It was.
Yeah.
They might have been Charles Durning. I gotta look that one up now too. But there was a God in that too.
There was, now that you mention it.
They reunited John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John in that movie. And what was neat about that? Olivia says a curse word. She says shit in that movie.
Well, the funniest thing is,
Yeah.
you could tell they were trying to get lightning in the bottle again by putting the two of them together, and it failed. And it just failed so bad, it was like almost cringy to watch. No offense to either one of them.
John Travolta's character wasn't very. He was a thief. He wasn't even like a likable character, and he had the mullet. That was a real mullet, Tug.
I love the mullet.
Right. An actual
Bring the
mullet.
mullet back.
They did like 2 songs. I like the title song. That's about it. Twist of Fate.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
Anyway, yeah.
Maybe I
Wilfred
should
Hyde.
try to
Yeah,
get-
that's it.
Wilfred Hyde. Yeah.
White.
Thank you, Indy. Indy always comes through with this information.
Yeah. Hmm.
You won't believe who played God in Two of a Kind, says Indy.
Okay. I have no idea.
Right.
Who?
I don't believe you.
I haven't seen it in probably 15 years. I'm trying to remember. Let
Who
us
was
know
it
in the chat.
in Time Bandits? It was
won't look it up.
Ralph Richardson.
Oh, yes, Sir
Yeah.
Ralph Richardson, yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
Sir Ralph
sir.
Richardson.
Yeah. A 5% pay reduction backdated to the beginning of time.
Right.
Is it true they didn't want to end the movie that way? It just sort of like fell in for some reason or another? Because I thought that ending was timeless. And then I heard Gilliam didn't want to end it that way.
Yeah, a lot of that movie wound up having to be rushed towards the end of production because Gilliam ran out of money. Something he tends to do a lot.
Overspending.
Yeah.
And then he burned his bridges with George Harrison because George Harrison thought he was writing the soundtrack.
Yeah, the whole
And-
thing. Yeah.
Oh.
Just like BOC with heavy metal. It's like we'll take one song and we'll just sort of like jackhammer it in at the end.
Well, Gilliam did it even worse because Gilliam even said to his face, "This music isn't very good. Like it doesn't fit my movie." And Harrison obviously took that very
Oh
personally.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Indy.
Gene Hackman
was Gene
was the voice
Hackman.
of God.
Bring it around. Bring it around.
Gene Hackman. Wow.
And I knew that all the time. I was waiting to see if anybody would get that.
Wow. That's
I was
good.
faking everybody out.
Pick out.
Well played.
Charles Durning, right?
Okay, so
No, yes.
I guess I started with Gene Hackman. So I think if we can move on to some other actor or actress that you love, we'll go to Tracy.
Tracy.
Well, the one I love, well, she's kind of like a love-hate thing because, a lot of people in society saw the movie Mommy Dearest. And they thought, okay, this woman is crazy. She beats her kids or whatever. She doesn't give them dinner or whatever. But the long and short of it is, Mildred Pierce, that she won in the Oscars a long time ago. She happens to be one of my favorites. She's a villain sort of kind of thing, but I like her. I think she was outstanding. And that movie was just right on. I just liked her a lot in a lot of stuff, but she really was resilient. I'll tell you that.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
I know, not much to say.
No, but you nailed it. You're absolutely right.
She's strong. She didn't take any crap from anybody. I'll tell you that.
I love whatever happened to Baby Jane.
Yeah, that was a good movie. I like Betty Davis too. Another
the
one.
chemistry between the two of them was absolutely outstanding in that.
Yeah, that's the way it should have been.
Has anyone seen the behind the scenes movie about the making of that movie?
No.
It was made for I can't remember the channel that made it, but there's a sort of a, it's not really a documentary, but they took the stories that actually happened during its production.
Wow.
And apparently the rivalry between the two of them was actually even worse in real life than it was in the making of the movie. In fact, there's a scene where Betty has to drag Joan across the room, and Joan actually strapped extra weights to her as a joke. And Betty White hurt her back, and that back injury plagued her for the rest of her life as a result of that. Also, there's some the guy, he was King Tut in Batman.
Bueno?
Yes, Victor Buono.
Yeah, okay.
He actually, I never realized he was actually kind of an interesting character. They kind of talked about him, and he was actually very notorious at the time. Apparently he was actually, I can't say he was open about his sexuality, but it's like he was, shall we say, barely in the closet.
Yeah.
Which at the time was considered downright scandalous. So if you get a chance, see this movie. But of course, every time I think of Joan Crawford, all I can think of is the song by Blue Oyster Cult. Speaking of Blue Oyster Cult again, that's every time. Christina, there's home. That's all I can think of Joan Crawford.
That's funny.
I have my moments.
So I'm just looking up like her entire filmography, trying to like
And then she stood at home for the Oscars. She didn't go to the actual Oscars. She had, she actually was at home, and they had to bring it to her after the presentations, to see what her face would be like. And she met them at the door, of her mansion. Her kids were there and stuff. Yeah.
Remember The Women? The Women? That's a classic.
Yeah,
That is a good movie.
Can I quickly say, I don't want to go out of turn here, but about on topic,
Go ahead.
about Mommy Dearest. I went to the Fox Theater in Atlanta with my girlfriend to see a double feature of The Women, the original, and Mommy Dearest, and I didn't realize what a gay following she had.
Yeah.
When I showed up, when she said in Mommy Dearest, Faye Dunaway, of course, as Mommy Dearest, no wire hangers ever. And when that line was, everyone said it in unison. No wire hangers, and the S's sound like a bunch of snakes because of the lips. I'm joking. I say that lovingly, but I didn't realize until that day the following. I was clueless.
Oh, one other thing I just want to read to the record. Poor Faye Dunaway. She was actually blackballed for a while after making that film because a lot of Joan Crawford had a lot of very powerful friends who were still around at that time.
They took that movie very personally.
Very personally. Jose Ferrer, possibly the most. But she found it for a while. She found it difficult getting work because a lot of actors wouldn't work with her after that.
Yeah, that's why she wound up in Supergirl like the next year.
Yeah, she was blacklisted.
The Sulkins were one of the only people who would hire her.
That's crazy. That's so rude.
Yeah, she was definitely blacklisted, which was sad.
And all she did was take a role. I mean, she didn't write the part. She was just performing it.
She wasn't any...
You know who she was married to? She was married to Peter Wolf from like the Jay Giles band.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Isn't that weird?
I don't know that.
Blew my mind when I researched that one.
I'm gonna pop out again. I'll be right back. Okay, gang.
Okay. Tired of looking at your frozen face. Poor Thrash. I try not to make fun of him for it anymore.
Uh-oh. I can't hear y'all. I'm gonna duck out and come right back. I'm sorry. This happens sometimes.
Okay. Do what you gotta do. We're having technological difficulties. No, Chance is gonna pop out and
control.
Oh, I've also lost track. He's going to be next, right?
Yeah, he should be next. Yeah, he hasn't actually had a chance to do this yet. So
he's been giving some gold information. I love it.
No, I knew he'd be perfect for this topic. I'm so glad he was able to make it.
Yeah, he knows a lot. Boy, boy.
And Tracy and I are helping.
Yes.
Yeah.
We helped.
And I am here.
Yes. Leading the pack.
That's why I fell for.
The leader of the pack.
I knew someone would have. You have to. It's like shave and a haircut. Someone. Roger, no.
Oh, Superman 4.
Gosh.
Oh man. Yeah, the Sulkins weren't even involved in that, were they? It was like a Ryan. Yeah. I'm actually doing a video right now on Superman 3, and during the research, I found that like during the production of the movie and after it was released, for a little while, Christopher Reeve was very quiet about it. He was, very polite, saying, this is the movie I'm in. This is Superman. It's a great Superman movie. But then he basically told the Sulkins he was never going to work with them again. And sure enough, he never did. So,
what was Richard Pryor doing in that movie, by the way?
He once said on a Johnny Carson interview that he wanted to be in a Superman movie. That's it. That's the answer to your question.
Because his whole character, it just didn't work. It didn't work comically. It didn't work for him. It just didn't feel right. It just at all. And I loved Richard Pryor. I even liked him in his bad movies.
No, like, I mean, I grew up with Superman 3. It's something I'm going to talk about in my video that, like, I have a really hard time being objective about it. I mean, I can recognize how bad it is as a Superman movie, but I grew up with it. Like, I would watch this with the toy, and I thought of it as a Richard Pryor movie, not as a Superman movie. And as a Richard Pryor movie, it's better than it is as a Superman movie. So
I watch it as
Yeah.
a Robert Vaughn movie. I think it works best as a Robert Vaughn movie.
I don't know, man. He's just doing generic Gene Hackman.
But that was Robert Vaughn's villain character.
Oh, I
and
know.
It's like that horrible movie. Was it called Half Moon, Black Moon? The car heist with Linda Hamilton. I heard somebody say something.
I think Chance is trying to say something.
I
It's
hear
something
him.
blurble.
Oh,
There he is.
Wonder Wheel. And don't worry, Andy, I definitely mentioned Office Space in my script.
Now, sorry, guys.
Well, since we're on the subject of Superman, Chance, this is something I wanted to bring up with you. In 2 weeks, like I was just saying, I'm working on a video on Superman 3 right now. It's going to drop next week. And then the week after that, on this live stream, I figured we could talk about I found the original idea that Ilya Salkind wrote down, the original outline. It's only like 3 or 4 pages. And I really want to talk about it. And I figured maybe you could come on my show and anybody else who wants to and talk about that and like what went wrong with Superman 3, what we like about it and all that stuff. Like, I just want to talk about Superman 3 basically. So yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks
that's
for the
really
invite.
cool.
But I know you're the Superman guy, so I definitely wanted you on.
We'll talk about this guy. I met him, and there's my autograph of Chris Reeve from 1994 when I met him.
Wow.
May 14th, 1994 at the Castlegate Hotel.
That's
Don't need to make me big. You can see it well enough, but there's an autograph picture.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool.
That is cool.
And I shot video of him. I'm going to put on my YouTube channel that I've never published before on a micro tape because my converter broke and I recently got a new converter. So I have to convert it, this converts to a regular VHS size, and I put it in my VHS to DVD converter. Then I put that DVD into my supercomputer and share it with the world.
Very cool.
Wow.
And that should be cool
That's
from
a cool
1994.
square.
Wait, you have a supercomputer? Is it going to assimilate you like it did Vera?
Tying it's Gus Gorman built it for me, man.
There you go. Huh.
Richard Pryor, his character. That's fun. Thanks
Indy
for
is a
the invite. I would love
supercomputer.
to be a part of that.
Yeah. Because I'm fascinated by Superman 3. Because like I was just, we'll talk about it in a couple weeks. I'll just move
Yes.
on.
There's
Yeah,
definitely some
yeah.
good amongst that bad.
Yeah.
And have you seen the extended version? I'm sure you have.
Yes, I have. I found it just recently. I
Favorite for
just
the
saw
show.
it for the first time, like
We've got to talk about that
a
too.
couple days ago.
Yeah.
Anyway,
There's more.
so Chance, it is now your turn to name an actor or actress that you want to talk about.
Clint Eastwood,
Oh, of course.
Big
Mr.
guy.
Versatile. I love his television work. I love his movie work. Whether it's Callahan in the Dirty Harry movies or the lighthearted stuff. I have a soft spot for Bronco Billy, where he was a shoe salesman from New Jersey who was a cowboy at heart, who assembled a ragtag team of dreamers to go across the country and put on the Bronco Billy Wild Wild West show for kids and fellow dreamers across the country. I just love that movie. He directed it. I think he wrote it. And it's not that well received. It wasn't critically acclaimed, but I just love that movie. And Sandra Locke was in it. I liked her too. They were a nice little power couple of the late 70s, early 80s. And although, boy, I can't watch Sudden Impact more than once. That movie freaked me out. She was so cold with her revenge. Justified revenge, but we won't go into that. But Clint Eastwood, I just think he's a wonderful director, actor, multi-talent. I wish
Definitely.
I wish him to make it to 100 years of age and beyond. Knocking on my wood desk there, but that's probably my.
Is Sudden Impact the one with 6 shots or only 5, or is that Magnum Force? I can't remember.
It's not Sudden Impact. Sudden Impact is the one where Sandra Locke's sister and she are attacked sexually.
Right.
In the park and. But the first Dirty Harry movie, boy, is that gritty.
The Scorpio.
I love that movie. I love those movies.
Especially like my parents lived in San Francisco at the time of the Zodiac.
Mhm.
So like that movie scared them a lot. and they passed that on to me when I was watching the movie. They would tell me all these stories about the Zodiac and living in South San Francisco during the Zodiac. And, okay, that's terrifying.
Yeah, no, I like the one, the Dirty Harry, where he's in Chicago off of the Marina Tower that looks like a corncob building. That was like that was like one of the first movies really to ever be shot in Chicago, because Mayor Daley did not like having people come in and film the city, film his city. It's like almost like they're giving away his secrets or something, which meant no sense, because he was kind of like, corrupted, shall I say, and had friends in the mob, shall I say. Yeah. And I mean, shall I say, because I don't want to get in trouble here. But yeah, I mean, that was a great movie. I was like, damn, that was good. And I was a kid and I enjoyed this. I went with my dad and my mom. I was like, damn, that's a good scene.
Indy mentions, "Go ahead, make my day," is a line from Sledemic. But I also like another good line where Callahan says to his supervisor, "You're a legend in your own mind."
I like how he has kind of a catchphrase in every single movie, and it's different in every single movie. Like a man's got to know his limitations and stuff like that. I love it. It's so cool.
I met him when he was in Atlanta. He did a movie called Trouble with the Curve, a baseball movie. He was directing it, and Amy Adams is in it. And just really nice guy, very humble. And I just think Clint Eastwood is just amazing. Got to be and Deadpool, not to be confused with Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. Well, the one with Jim Carrey is the
Jim Carrey's the rocker, right? And Liam Neeson's the bad guy with the harpoon and everything. Yeah.
Also, Eastwood. He was. And the funny thing is, Eastwood is absolutely amazing, like playing like the solo guy. He just seems to work so well with like so many people, like Jeffrey Lewis did a number of his movies.
Yes. Any Which Way You Can. And Bronco Billy. He was in Bronco Billy as well.
He was in Bronco Billy. I don't think they were on screen at the same time together in the entire movie, but he is in it. And
they were in the mental hospital towards the end when they go to the mental institution and they put on the show and they make the new tarp because they had the fire. And anyway, he gives them a look.
And his chemistry with Lee Van Cleef in the spaghetti westerns. I mean, come on.
And Jeffrey Lewis is Juliet Lewis's dad.
A
lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
And
Eastwood
they actually did one movie together. I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head. But of course, you can't talk Clint Eastwood and not talk possibly one of my favorite movies of all time, Good, Bad, the Ugly. He is just so perfect. I mean, think about it, guys. The main plot point of the whole movie is the last chance gold, right? Which Lee Van Cleef is working on from the get-go, but they don't. Tuco and Blondie, it's just a pissing contest between the two of them. And that carries the film for the first third of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the actual plot hasn't kicked in, and we're still riveted. We're just watching the two of them go back and forth. Like Sylvester and the rival cat with the mouse. I mean, it's amazing. So anyone who can pull that off, of course, again, with the help of another actor, in this case, Eli Wallach, you got to give it to him.
Sorry to interrupt, but John, yes, Andrew Robinson was the Scorpio killer. Yeah.
Play Misty for me. That's another good one.
That was a directorial debut, you know.
Yeah, really? Jessica Walter is the psycho stalker. Yeah,
she was great. I mean, I love that.
She scared me.
I mean, Clint Eastwood is so great, and the thing too is his range. Like you say, he did stuff with kids, and he could bring himself down to be relatable to kids as much as he's relatable to people in our generation. Like he scanned the whole gamut. The man has been around the block. And I give kudos to any actors who have done that. That's hard to do.
We mentioned it before, but 2 Mules for Sister Sarah, obviously.
Yeah, that was a great movie. That was great.
Is it wrong that I thought she was hot in that?
No, it's not wrong.
I thought she was hot in that movie.
But we got the fun on TV.
I like how Clint also gave justice to Richard Jewell, who was incorrectly charged as being the Olympic Park.
That's a good movie.
BUMBER here in Atlanta, Georgia, the Olympics of '96. I was down there when that happened.
Really? Oh my!
Looking at the dream team, and then my buddy and I were going to go right where it happened. I said, "No, let's just get out of here." And glad we did. We would have been stuck because that whole area, that whole perimeter, was sealed off for hours, and we almost got trapped in that. Anyway.
Oh my God!
But
crazy.
Yeah. Jinx.
Mhm. Yeah,
And we didn't mention Unforgiven. Another, I mean, with Gene
I saw
Hackman.
that.
again.
That was great.
And
Well, we
Morgan
did
Freeman.
mention it, just not in connection to
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood. So.
We could go. That's a whole show. Clint Eastwood. I mean, that's like a 3-parter.
Yeah, there were
Easily.
so
At
many.
least.
Great
We could do
Clint
a whole
Eastwood movies.
show on references that are actually references to things we talked about earlier on other shows.
I know.
Hey,
Mommy
who's seen
Dearest
Body
One.
Snatchers?
Exactly. All the different versions. Yeah.
Which
I
is the
like the
best?
original.
Obligatory mention of I Am Legend. I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
The book. I'm talking about the book, Thrash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can analyze the
excuse
villains
me.
that Clint Eastwood worked against, like when he was played a hero.
Yeah.
Or the the antagonist and the protagonist. I like to analyze that. Like John Malkovich played a good villain, and anyway, that's a whole nother topic, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, John Malkovich, we could definitely talk about him, but
Yeah,
I'm surprised we
He's
haven't mentioned John Malkovich, and I froze again.
Malkovich,
Well, at least
Malkovich,
a fairly decent
Malkovich.
pose this time. But
Well, you're
Rawhide.
frozen.
Have you ever seen Rawhide, Tug?
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
Western-
I've seen
yeah.
Rawhide. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna try this one more time.
Okay, Thrash. Go ahead.
Are you
Great
talking about
theme
Rawhide, the
song.
movie, or the
TV
book?
show with Clint.
Yeah,
Clint
that was good. Yeah.
I love that theme song.
And wasn't he? Didn't he
I
have
like
a
the thing.
cameo in one of the Creature from the Black Lagoon sequels? or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. He sure
Mhm.
did. He sure did. And one of my favorite underrated actors of television, Lee Majors,
Yeah.
his first
Mhm.
role was in a movie with Betty Davis, Straight Jacket, and he got
Oh.
beheaded. He got beheaded right
Right.
before the opening credits. and I remember Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte. That was a creepy movie that freaked me out. There was
I
a lot of
bet.
violence in that movie. Remember that one, Tracy?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Have you
that
seen
was-
that one?
Yeah,
I have not.
Eric?
lots of
I have
action.
not.
Got to see it. Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, I couldn't remember which one it was, Andy. Thank you. It's Revenge of the Creature, which is the second one, not
Yep.
the third
Mhm.
one where it gets really weird.
Yeah.
But I liked in Straight Jacket. That just there he's back. He's back. You're not frozen. Yay.
Yay.
The funny thing, I was like, I couldn't get to come back online. I actually had to try 3 different times before the camera kicked in. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
Same
Chance was
here.
having similar problems.
Same here.
so
What's
it's
going on,
one of those
StreamYard?
days.
Technological
It's one of those days.
difficulties.
Can I just go ahead.
Okay.
Your
No,
turn.
no, you.
Well, we were just talking about Straight Jacket with Joan Crawford. I digressed. Diane Baker's in that as well, and I think she is actually a pretty bad actress. If anyone knows who Diane Baker is, I mean,
Mhm.
she's done a lot. She was in Silence of the Lambs. She was the mother of the girl in the pit. She was in Cable Guy. She played the mother of what's his name's character, Matthew Broderick. They
right.
play Porno Password. Anyway,
Mhm.
I just think she's a bad actress. Enough said. Now I'll shut up.
And I've noticed too that with a lot of even known stars, as far as men and women stars, kid stars, whatever, sometimes they're just not the right fit for that role. And yet they get the role, and it's like, are you only getting it by name, or are you getting it because of your real talent, or of the fit? You know, it's like,
I hope this
Weird.
isn't important.
Well, I was just talking about that at some length for On the Beach. Ava
Oh, yeah.
Gardner was horribly miscast in On the Beach, but she was such a huge name at the time. It's like, we have to go with Ava Gardner. Why? The role that she's not.
mhm.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, sadly that happens a lot. Well, of course, you know what my favorite example of this is? It's Valkyrie,
Okay.
least convincing German officer that ever lived. I mean, Tom Cruise, are you kidding me?
Oh God, yeah.
And he's
He's-
surrounded by so
Yeah.
many great actors who are doing
Actors.
such a great job, and
Mhm.
there he is as the main
Bringing it
character.
down.
It just doesn't work at all.
Mhm.
At all. Now, unfortunately, that movie wouldn't have been made if it wasn't for him. It was his clout and his pushing because he wanted to do the movie, and I'm frozen again. I'm just going to run with it, guys. I'm sorry, but anyway,
It's
yeah.
fine.
Tom Cruise is possibly, and I'm not trying to knock Tom Cruise. I'm not saying the man doesn't possess talent, but it was possibly the most comically miscast in Hollywood history. No offense.
Yeah, good actors can be terribly cast. I mean, that
Oh
does
yeah,
happen.
yeah.
Uh,
I've seen a lot of that,
And I don't think we've talked about Tom Cruise before. I don't think he's a great actor, but he is good at what he does. And in what he does is not Valkyrie.
No,
Yeah.
no. So, even though I'm in a weird pose, I'm going to go with my pick because I don't have the heart to keep doing this. I'm sorry, guys. And I felt actresses haven't been getting enough mention here. In fact, I think Tracy was the first person who's mentioned a female actor so far. So I'm going to open with a female actor or actress, if you will. Myself, actually, I'm going to go with Karen Black.
She was great. Oh,
She
God,
was
yes.
absolutely amazing. This is a woman who did a trilogy
Yeah.
and played 4 parts
For
in the
roles.
trilogy, and all of them were out of the park. I mean, it wasn't like she phoned in this one or that one. No, I mean, I watched Trilogy of Terror again not too long ago, and it's a showcase to her talent. It really is an amazing movie, and I thought she did an amazing job in it. Of course, also Easy Rider. Supposedly,
Yeah.
she and Tony Basil were high as kites when they did that
Yeah.
scene, and that whole scene where they
that's
just sort of
believable.
babble
Yeah.
is all ad libbed because they were tripping daisies. And Tony Basil's good in that scene as well, by the way. But yeah, Karen Black, and of course the airport movie. I mean, just whatever she does, she did amazing. And I always felt so sad because remember there's that reference to her in the Family Guy where she actually saves everybody in the plane crash. It's the first episode they do that had death, and it's she saves the plane, and the commentator goes, "Karen Black, what an obscure reference," and I'm like, "Not to me."
Me either.
Who thinks Karen Black is obscure? That's not obscure.
Exactly.
No.
People who watch
And
Family
in
Guy.
fact, she's gone now, isn't she?
Oh yeah, she died years ago. I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's a shame. She was a beautiful lady. It's so sad.
I remember her from The Great Gatsby, the 70s version of The Great Gatsby, which I think is the best version of The Great Gatsby.
She was perfect for that role, though, the Trilogy of Terror. I mean, she was really good.
She
I
was
love Trilogy of Terror.
outstanding.
My favorite is a Zuni Warrior doll. He's my favorite out of all of them. Especially
That's
when it
everyone's
comes to
favorite
life.
vignette, but it's weird when you watch a trilogy, and because I have a love for anthologies, horror preferred, and when you watch like a trilogy or an anthology, there's usually one that isn't very good, and in Trilogy of Terror, no, they are all very good.
Yeah.
And the one, well, all right, spoiler alert, the one with the twins. That could have gaffed. That one could have been terrible. But because she's so riveting and again playing 2 different characters.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is you forget that it's her. The first time I saw it, I literally forgot that that's her in both of them.
Yeah, and the wig and everything. Oh, that was great. Yeah.
That's just
the skirt.
yeah, exactly. the movie is, I mean, the blonde wig was a little unconvincing, but then again, a lot of women wear blonde wigs that aren't convincing. So I think she was ahead of the curve there.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I mean, I always recognize her by her eyes, but because she had unusual eyes.
I was going to do a quick impression of Karen Black.
Please.
Ready?
Please.
Oh, that's scary.
God. Anyway, I love her. I love her. An Invaders episode, season 2.
Really?
She wasn't in an Invaders episode.
Yeah, she was season 2. She in 1967. The Ransom is the episode title. And I have on film a movie she did called Killerfish, a knockoff of Piranha, with Lee Majors and Margot Hemingway and James Franciscus who played astronaut Brent in Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Right.
It's about jewel thieves that they steal a bunch of jewels, throw them in a lake, not knowing the lake is infested with piranha. So how are they going to get their loot? And it's actually not bad. I have a film print of it. Anyway.
Yeah. No, that was good. I like cheesy movies like that. Are you kidding me?
Me too.
Which airport movie was she in?
I was afraid you'd ask.
Yeah, John Orchard mentioned the airport. I'm like, which one?
It wasn't one of them, and I was afraid you'd ask. I want to say 2, but for the life of me, it's funny too because I was just talking about the airport movies on my special edition disaster movie episode, and I remember looking up which one it was. I want to say 2, but I can't swear to it. Indy will know. You know.
Yeah, I'll wait for Indy to answer that question.
It's Airport
75?
75.
Okay.
Oh, 75. Thank you very, very much. And and Indy, I've seen both of those movies.
Of course you have. I've seen Seven Faces of Dr. Lau. I haven't seen Kind Hearts though.
Joel Hodgkin's favorite movie is The Seven Faces of Dr. Lau. It's a good movie, and Tony Randall is great in it. But I don't know if I could make it my favorite.
Beat you to it, Indy. No,
Oh,
just kidding.
and I love the ending of Kind Hearts and Cornets. You said you haven't seen it. Okay, then I can't tell you. It has one of the best endings I think in cinema history.
I do have to tease after Superman 3. I am doing a anthology starring your favorite actor. So
Oh,
there's
wow.
that.
Oh.
Thrash.
My
Thing to
favorite
look up
actor?
for.
The one you named last week. Yeah.
Okay, Rob
Oh,
Steiger.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Huh.
Nice. Don't give it away.
I know,
Don't
I
give
know
it
the
away.
anthology. I know. Can I say the anthology? Or is this
You
gonna be a
can say it.
surprise?
It's fine.
Okay, The Illustrated Man.
Yes, I'm
Oh,
doing the
okay.
Illustrated Man.
That's a good movie. I like
It
that.
is, but again, it's one of the cases where not all the vignettes are of the same caliber.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like I was going to
that's
say,
true.
like it definitely
Up and
sticks
down,
true to
up and
your theory.
Mhm.
And you know what? I loved the gimmick that they put Rod Steiger in all of them, but I don't think that worked. I think maybe
Yeah.
they should have used different actors and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because he's great in some parts and doesn't quite fit in at least one. But anyway, that's just my opinion. You know.
I've watched it before, but I haven't watched it for the purposes of my review because I'm still working on Superman 3 right now. But
It's hard to find. I out of the friggin' blue. I don't know why. I think I saw a review of it on YouTube or something. Out of the
I'm
blue, I
not-
decided I wanted to watch it, and it's tough to find. The only place I could find it is you have to like pay to see it. And I'm like, well, screw that.
yeah,
But-
I think I had
Yeah,
to get it
yeah,
from Amazon or something. Like I don't
Are you
remember
kidding?
where
You
I
probably
got it.
find it cheap.
Okay, and we were just talking about James Franciscus. I have to throw this little piece of trivia in there for you then. In the was it the not the Sound of Thunder, the There Will Be Heavy Rains vignette, the crash spaceship was the crash spaceship.
Yeah,
Franciscus flies in his Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Wow.
Hey guys, Al Hardy's
Hi.
watching, and he sent me a picture on my Facebook
Hi, Al.
stream of us on his giant TV. He's watching
Nice.
us on his
Wow.
big screen
I love to be
TV.
on TV.
And
All right.
he used to work at Ted Turner for Turner. He worked at
Wow.
Superstation WTBS WTCG from 1976 to 1991. Great guy. Worked with at Cumulus Media for years. So hello to Al Hardy. Thank you for
Wow.
sending us that photo.
Hi, Al. That's a
Awesome.
great. TBS was known for being a great station. I was in Chicago and I'd hear about TBS all the
It
time.
was a great
It was.
station.
I'm talking past tense now, but yeah, it
It's like
was.
sci-fi
One
been.
time it was a hot commodity. You know, I mean, like I have friends who work at WGN and they're related to Chicago Tribune. My dad worked for Chicago Tribune, so it's like all these things kind of carry down, and it's like you hear about such stuff, and it's like, geez, I wish I was this age to know back then, if you get what I'm saying, because I would have loved to seen more TBS in our area, but they didn't have like cable per se, you know, back then.
I
Everybody.
actually got WGN down in Orlando back in like the 80s, and
Oh,
they
wow,
would
yeah.
show Night Court every night. That's how I got my Night Court fix, because they
Oh,
showed Night
wow.
Court every single night. It's great.
Al used to run the projectors. That's how they would show the classic cartoons and film before
Wow.
reel-to-reel film before it switched to videotape.
Wow.
So he ran the
That's
video
cool.
department.
Cool.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
remember the cartoons? They had great cartoons also.
Oh,
on top.
huge.
I don't think they had the Universal. They had the MGM library because Ted Turner
Yeah.
bought MGM. In 1986? I think he bought the
Those are
library.
good. Mm-hmm.
And he started colorization. That's a whole nother debate. That's a whole nother topic. Tug and Brad and Tracy.
I'm biting my tongue.
We're going to talk about colorization, and we're going to have to keep talking about Ted Turner. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
The thing is, my whole thing is, and you guys may disagree, I say I'm all for it because you can adjust your settings, of your TV to black
You
and
can
white.
make it black and white if you want.
And
Well-
some purists say it's not the same. The shadows
Same.
are different. Change the lighting.
Oh God.
You
Like
take
when,
it
when,
from you, Brad?
when they colorized Casablanca, they took out all the smoke because they were always smoking in the bar, and it gave it a very that smoke filled room feel to it. When they colorized it, they removed all that, and it looked like they were on a stage.
There
So it took away.
There are
Some.
some movies I don't think should be colorized, like film noirs from
Ones
the
in black and
Yeah.
white shouldn't be
40s
colorized.
should not be colorized.
Like Citizen Kane, I like it in black and white. That's the way it should stay. You know,
Double
that kind of
indemnity.
thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do
Absolutely.
agree. Like, I'm not opposed to the idea of colorization in general. It's fine.
Do you
The
draw
Gilligan's
eyebrows on the Mona Lisa? No. No, you do not. You do
The
not.
Gilligan's Island looked like poop that Ted Turner colorized in like 1990. It looked terrible. It was just like 3D glasses, the red and the blue hue. But they did a good job in 2000 with the first season of I Dream of Jeannie and seasons 1 and 2 of
Mhm.
Bewitched. Sony, they actually did a pretty darn good job of color because they used photos, like wardrobe photos, to get the actual colors right. Enough said.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey
I
Zach,
mean,
good to see
I
you.
like when they colorize
Exactly.
stuff like I Love Lucy, and the thing is, no, half of those scenes and everything is mostly gone now, so you kind of have to pretend what color that Lucy was wearing in her dress, or Desi's out, his suits were either brown, black, or blue, or if they had pinstripes or not. That drives me crazy.
It's great to be on with you, Tracy. I've been asking Thrash to put us on together.
Aw,
I'm glad we could
you
finally
too,
share
you
the
too.
same space.
I love all you guys. You guys are like my
Yeah,
brothers.
once Damien told me he wasn't going to be able to make it, I thought this is my chance to get Tracy and Chance on the same thing.
Yeah.
I like your
I
hat
like
too. Go
Damien.
Cubs.
Oh
Almost
yeah,
baseball
Dish.
season, you know.
And
I'm
I
a
love the
baseball
shirt,
person,
Tracy.
too.
Absolutely love the shirt.
Well, of course, Thrash Pondo Ponds. I'm
There
wearing
you
the school
go.
uniform.
As a person who lives in St. Louis, I'm not supposed to like the Cubs, but of course I like the Cubs. They're the
Well, I
Cubs.
know because you're supposed to like the Cardinals.
I'm supposed to like the
You-
Cardinals. Yeah.
Yeah, my friend
Wrigley.
Scotty,
Meet me in St.
he's always
Louis,
picking on me.
Louis.
I'm from St. Louis
Yes.
too, and my grandparents. But Wrigley Field, that's the Wrigley gum people.
Yeah.
And I was watching On Patrol Live, and Dan Abrams talked about Big Red. He goes, "Remember Big Red? I don't think they make it anymore." It's like, of course they still make it. They make Juicy Fruit, Double Mint Gum, Big Red. It's in every grocery store. And
They even
and
make
drugstore.
T-berry, not them themselves, I don't think, but I know that T-berry still exists, and that blackberry gum too, or blackjack gum from way back. They're still around.
Yeah,
those-
probably find them at Cracker Barrel or something. Some of those obscure gums like that. Hey, Thrash,
Yeah.
I thought about you. I was driving down the street, and then when those electronic billboards popped up and it said Thrash, tried to get a
Wow,
photo.
that's so cool.
I was in traffic. I'm going to get it. It's down the road from me. I tried to take a photo, and then it changed, and the light changed. I had to go, or there was like
Dang.
50 cars behind me.
My grandfather
Try to
used
get
to take me towards your neck of the woods, Chance, to see the Atlanta Braves. He loved the Braves. So
At
like,
Atlanta
Oh,
Fulton
baseball
County
games.
Stadium or
wanna see
Turner
them.
Field? Do you remember?
Turner
Or-
Field. It was Turner
Turner
Field.
Field.
I want to go to Atlanta so bad when the Cubs come to play, regular season.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
I've only
I
been to
would love
Atlanta
see
once,
that.
but it's a beautiful city. It's an absolutely
I'm 5
beautiful
hours
city.
away, being here in Tallahassee.
Wear,
like-
Briefly
14.
considered moving there after college.
Hmm?
Yeah.
wear a bulletproof vest if you go downtown. That's all I've got to say.
Oh no, I'm from Chicago, man. What are you
In the
talking
helmet.
about? Bullshit.
I've been to Miami, St. Louis. It's fine.
St. Louis is actually getting pretty hot now. A lot of people are trying to move there.
I mean, yeah, which is great because St. Louis had the opposite problem for decades.
Yeah. Now they're
And-
getting people in.
I heard there's a tax incentive program in the state legislature of Missouri. They're trying to lure Hollywood to do some
Mhm.
production in Missouri State.
Yeah.
Like Boston did, which it worked for Boston.
That also worked for Georgia. So yeah.
Yeah, Atlanta's got a lot of shows now. They've got a new soap opera film in there too.
Yes, I was on that soundstage Friday. Yes, it's on CBS at 2:00, and it's the first all African American soap opera.
Yeah. I like. See, I like Tamara Tunay. I like, the guy from That's My Mama. The guy, Clifton Davis, isn't it?
Me
his name?
too.
Yeah, and I like the other girl, the one whose husband left her and she's crazy, but I love
Yeah.
her. I just
They
love
taped
her.
that in Universal.
Mosley.
I hope they can use a token white guy because I'd love to be on that set.
Oh, I love watching that show. It's just it's more real than some of the shows are. Although I still watch General Hospital. I'm stuck on that for now.
Nathaniel Bowden. I love Savannah. It's one of my favorite cities, but it feels like a completely different country. Like, it doesn't even feel like America anymore. It's Savannah. It's its own place. I love
River
it.
Street. River
Yeah,
Street.
yeah.
Baby. Yep.
Savannah's
It
wonderful.
is pretty.
There's an
I've seen
unexploded
pictures.
bomb in there. Sorry, I keep over talking.
That's fine.
We all do.
So I'm going to
We're
go ahead and
excited.
name one more actor, and then we're going to move on to talk about the Oscars. But the actor I wanted to talk about because I love him, and I don't think he gets enough love, is Guy Pearce.
Oh
I
yeah.
Absolutely adore Guy Pearce. And for a while there, I would
Mhm.
watch every movie he was in. Like, even if it was terrible, I would watch it.
Guy
Because
Pearce is great.
The first movie I saw with him was LA Confidential. Like a lot of Americans, that was the 1st movie he was mostly exposed to us. And I thought he outshone everybody else in that movie, which is saying something, because you've got Kevin Spacey, you've got Russell Crowe, you've got Kim Basinger, you've got so many people in that movie, and it's a great movie. But Guy Pearce just he steals it as the cop who is the goody two shoes. He's the one who's going to bring justice and order to LA, and by the end he's fully corrupted. Like he does all the things he was told he would never do. Like he plants evidence and he shoots a man in the back, and yada yada yada. He's so good in that movie. He sells it
I like
so
that movie.
well. It's one of my favorite noirs that's not in black and white.
Yeah, I love noir, and my favorites are like mystery kind of things, like mystery and a lot of psychological movies.
Oh
too,
yeah.
What's her name? The one did Flowers in the Attic. Andrews.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like psychological movies because they kind of make you kind of think the outside of the box kind of a deal. And yeah, I like stuff like that. It's just
well,
great.
I mean, that's like Guy Pearce also did Memento, which is a great mystery. The way it told backwards and everything. It's fantastic.
I don't remember it though.
Of course you don't.
I couldn't resist. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
Yes, indeed, Rollo Tomasi. Like, okay, I want to talk about LA Confidential some more because I'm a huge James Ellroy nut. I've read all of James Ellroy's novels. I think he's fantastic. And when I heard they were making a movie out of LA Confidential, I was opposed. I was dead set against it because I didn't think it would work. I didn't think you could film LA Confidential and make it work. And I was so wrong, and I'm so happy to be so wrong, because what they did when they made the movies, they did it completely in a different order. They reorganized everything from the book. And if you're a purist, I can see that pissing you off, but they did it in such a way that it made the movie almost better than the book, in my opinion, which almost feels like blasphemy to say because I'm such a James Ellroy fan. But most of the other books that they've tried to adapt from Ellroy, especially from that quadrilogy or tetralogy or however you want to call it, didn't work. Like the Black Dahlia, not nearly as good.
No, it wasn't. I mean, and that's all something real.
Yeah.
Well, I liked LA Confidential. I was glued. I mean, like, I mean, seriously. I mean, you walk away to use the washroom. Don't do that in that movie because by the time you come back, it's different.
Yeah. But also Guy Pearce, he's done so many other great things. I watched a lot of his old Australian work. I like some of the stuff he did after that, or like some of the more obscure stuff like Ravenous, which is a goofy movie that I love. And he did The Time Machine, the remake of The Time Machine, which
that was a good movie.
I have issues with that movie, but I think Guy Pearce was fantastic in it.
Yeah, he wasn't bad.
That I'll grant you. That I'll grant you.
And he also is a movie I always sing its praises. I've mentioned it on the stream 2 or 3 times now. Is Lockout, where he plays like a 80s action movie hero in a just in a weird futuristic space station where he's trying to save the president's daughter, and he's quipping like Bruce Willis and Die Hard. And it's so good. He does it so well. I don't know why Guy Pearce isn't in more action movies. He's so good in it. So yeah, Guy Pearce does not get enough love. I absolutely adore him. I think he's even great in bad movies. So
yeah, I like him.
You ever see The Last Vermeer from 2019 with Guy Pearce? Good movie.
Oh no, a more recent one. No,
he's totally in character. And of course, Lawless. You ever see Lawless?
Yes, of course.
I played it. I was his henchman in that movie. I tarred and feathered the bootlegger.
Right.
Wow.
I know.
That's
I know.
squared.
Got to make it about me.
No, definitely. Always plug yourself. Do it.
Please.
That's rule number one.
I want to hear more about your life.
He gave me acting tips on the set. He goes, "Not so chance." He goes, "Understand my character is I'm going to censor it. An effing C word." I got you, and so they did a close up of my hands, and I grabbed the tar and I tar and feather the bootlegger we catch in the woods. And his character is very sadistic. It's a sadistic lawman. But enough said. He was really, and he asked me, he goes, "What's he gonna do around here, Chance?" He goes, "I want to go for a drive and look at the country." I said, "Well, head up 85 South Rear in Noonan, Georgia. Head towards LaGrange. All you'll see are trees." He goes, "Perfect." He wanted to just clear his head. He was really cool. And
Yeah.
Time Machine, and what about Iron Man 3? I mean,
Iron Man
that wasn't
3,
the best
yeah.
Iron Man, I thought he was okay as a villain in that.
No, he was good. Yeah.
Unlike Ben Kingsley, the great
Actually-
Ben Kingsley.
Ben
Oh,
Kingsley
no.
steals that movie, though.
I think
He does.
Trevor
Did
Slattery.
he show
So
He's not the
Kingsley
Mandarin.
I know a lot of people hate the movie for that twist, but I love it because Ben Kingsley's so great as like the hapless
Yeah.
actor.
Gandhi himself.
Yes.
Mhm.
So speaking of Gandhi, I think that segues us into Oscars. Like, what happened to the Academy Awards? Like, that's the question I just want to ask.
You want it chronologically or in order of importance?
However you want to say it, that's fine by me.
Well, I mean, it's obvious. Hollywood has always been political. This is nothing new. This goes back to
This goes back to the beginning of Hollywood. Yeah.
the 1920s. But what happened was the politics was sort of a sideshow of an industry of integrity. Over the decades, the politics has become increasingly important to the point where the actors, I think some actors actually do it against their better judgment. I think some actors make political statements because they're afraid it'll hurt their career if they don't. So they're literally getting roped in to this political machine.
Yeah, especially
Now, of
nowadays.
course,
Yeah.
as we look, and I'm not taking sides, but let's face facts, the country's a little on the divided side now. So it's like literally, I mean, things are, well, they're hysterical. So when the country's hysterical, Hollywood is sort of the mirror of the country. I had a professor in college who taught me that, it's sort of like the Greek gods. If the Greeks were warlike, their gods were warlike. If the Greeks were having a good economic times, the gods were very lucrative. Hollywood is like our mirror. If things are getting crazy, Hollywood gets really crazy. And I think it's sort of like the old expression, the inmates have taken over the asylum. The super extreme politics has basically contaminated the industry and the event of the Academy Awards.
Well, sorry. Well, I do think that is true. I don't think that fully explains what happened to the Academy because.
I'm sorry.
No. I mean, like, I do definitely think that's true. Don't get me wrong. I think the whole Hollywood culture has become plagued by politics in a way that it hasn't been since, the Red Scare. And I think that is a major problem that they have to deal with. And whether or not they will succeed, only time will tell.
Funny connection you made there.
Yeah. But the Oscars, like, even during the 40s and 50s, when the Oscars were relatively new. Sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. Give me a second. I feel like they still meant something. They were still honoring prestige. It still like felt like to win an Oscar was to win an honor. Whereas nowadays it just feels like whoever lobbies the hardest is going to get the Academy Award.
Yeah.
Who cares? And I don't know when that happened. For me personally, like when I look at the history of the Oscars, for me, it looks like it happened somewhere in the 90s. Maybe Weinstein had something to do with it. I don't know. But like Shakespeare in Love beating out Saving Private Ryan because of a smear campaign.
That's
What?
crazy. Saving Private Ryan was a great movie.
Yeah, it was. And it's definitely well more remembered now than Shakespeare in Love. And that was obviously Weinstein. But I don't know like if that was just a symptom of a larger problem or if that was just the beginning of the end for the Academy Awards. I don't know.
Am I wrong, or have they ever elected an Oscar for the best movie in a science fiction category ever?
Only recently. They've nominated a few over the years, but I think the only one that's ever won was Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Annie Hall over Star Wars in 1978.
That's
What
a big
the
one.
heck?
Good point.
That broke my heart when I was a kid. Or the biggest miscarriage I can think of is Shawshank Redemption losing out to Forrest Gump. I still can't figure that one out. But of course, at the time, Forrest Gump was, for any number of reasons, considered an important work. And I think the Academy looks for things that are important as opposed to talent.
Well, I mean, without getting into our own politics, I will say that like nowadays, it's politics over everything else. Like there's no shades of gray. Like Emilia Perez is objectively a terrible movie. It's a terrible musical. It's got terrible acting. It's terribly written. It makes no sense. The plot is garbage. And yet it's getting nominated for all these awards because it has the right message. And that pisses me off. It just annoys me that the politics matter more than the actual filmmaking. It should be about the filmmaking.
Filmmaking.
Right?
Well, I like the in memoriam segment myself.
Well, yes.
Me too.
Although
I
there
love
was a
those.
bad snub in 2010 that still chaps my rear end.
Mm.
Farrah Fawcett was overlooked, and she did a lot of film, like Extremities. That was a powerful performance. She was in Logan's
I
You know
Run.
that?
She did some bad movies. Yeah, they did not do. It
Oh,
was a
that's
big
horrible.
controversy. Yeah, they omitted Farrah Fawcett from the in memoriam segment of the Oscars in 2010. She died on June 25th, 2009, same day as Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Yes.
She did some bad movies, but she did some real. I think Burning Beds when she turned the corner to being a more
Mhm.
serious actress after the Charlie's Angels years. But of course, you know, she did a movie called Sunburn, which I have on film with Charles Grodin. Terrible movie. Saturn 3, which is a pretty good sci-fi movie with Kirk Douglas. Anyway,
She didn't
that
get
was
a
a
mention.
bad snub tonight in
Terrible.
documentary. Christopher Reeve, Super/Man, the Christopher Reeve story is not up for an Oscar for best documentary. That's a bad
kidding
snub.
me?
I'm not kidding.
That's awful.
Oh,
Big controversy. How could you not include that as a? I've seen only clips of it. I've got full disclosure. I've not seen the full thing. Shame on me, but I'm going to when it airs on CNN. But I saw parts of it, and it's a tearjerker. I mean, what a story, right?
God, I'm getting the chills. Seriously.
Yeah, you will not see it tonight, and I don't understand why. And I wonder what will win for best documentary.
Oh
But
God.
I watched for Conan. Look, the host also is a big draw. Conan
Yep.
O'Brien. I love Conan O'Brien, so I will tune in tonight. And I know there's going to be slings and arrows. I can take it. I'm not thin-skinned. It's just jokes, you know. But
no, and
you know,
like I always watch the Oscars, even though like I don't respect them at all anymore. I still watch it. I still like the pomp and circumstance. I'm still a sucker for it. Like I'm too much of an old school Hollywood fan that like that'll never die for me.
Yeah.
I miss the red carpet Joan Rivers though with her
Yeah,
daughter.
true.
And that Joan
Yeah.
Rivers was great. And by the way, Melissa
I loved
Gilbert
her.
looks like Joan Rivers these days. Poor Melissa. I'm not saying this is an insult.
daughter?
Melissa Gilbert. Little House on the Prairie looks like Joan Rivers actually senior. If you look, there's a particular ad that's running on TV for a sleep aid. She
Oh
looks
my
just like
God.
Joan Rivers. Melissa Gilbert from Little House on the Prairie, who played Laura Ingalls Wilder. But I digress. But yeah, I'll see what Conan does. I didn't think Letterman did that bad. Letterman got panned when he hosted the one time.
No, I've
You know,
always liked the
Oprah-
hosts.
Oprah-
Like, I've never had any problem with any of them, honestly.
I liked, of course, the Billy Crystal days. He
Billy
really
Crystal
did
Oh,
that.
was one of
that's
the
the
best.
best.
Yeah,
Billy
Yeah.
Crystal.
Ironically, the one that I thought worked least, and I'm still not entirely sure why, for some reason when Jon Stewart did it, it didn't work for me. And
yeah, that was one of the less memorable
And-
ones. Yeah,
I don't know if it's because all the bits were done in that sort of mockumentary style like they do on The Daily Show, which didn't work in the Oscars, or maybe he just thought that, like, I'm not saying he phoned it in, but it's almost like he didn't do anything to try to transition. He just went out there and was Jon Stewart. And so it felt like it was being phoned in. But
He was
I
high.
don't think it worked.
Yeah.
He
Really?
was high.
probably.
Oh,
I believe
my
it.
feet
I
just
believe
went
it.
down. Oh, that scared me. Sorry. That scared the heck out of me.
Bob Hope.
I'm in Jon Stewart getting at me. Oh man. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
that's-
lost my track. Oh, I was gonna say, do you remember? I'm older. Tracy probably remember this in Thrash. Sally Field. You like me. You really
You
like
really
me.
like me.
Yes,
That's-
I remember
yes.
seeing that as a kid. I was like, wow, that was actually, I thought it was kind of a moving speech. You know, it got panned and mocked.
They,
but
they
I
made
like
fun of her for years, but it was organic and it was sincere.
it.
Yeah.
You know, it's so it's like, you know, come on. It's like when Tom Cruise jumped up and down on the couch and everybody thought he was mentally ill.
I thought that was
It's like
Exactly.
he was trying to be cute and funny, and he was in love and acting like a little kid. I've watched that several times, looking to see why people were so incensed. I do crazier things like that in my spare time, and you know what? Maybe I'm mentally ill. God knows. I've been telling the courts that for years. They keep finding me sane. More fool them. But
There's a pill for that, Thrash. There's a pill for that.
there's
This
several.
segment brought to you by Pfizer.
There are several. Big Pharma.
Hey,
Go Big
hey, they
Pharma. Everybody
they
pick
didn't
their
call-
Soma.
Hey, Bob, they didn't call it Smiling Bob for nothing.
My favorite acceptance speech from an award was not from the Academy Awards. It was actually from the I think it was the WGA Awards or maybe the Golden Globes. No, it was the Emmys, actually. It was David Hyde Pierce from Frasier winning for Best Supporting Actor. And he went up there and he said, I would like to thank the writers because without them, and then he walked off. I loved that.
That's actually brilliant. I didn't see that. That's brilliant. How about if we're gonna do moments? I felt so bad for this girl. She recently lost her husband, by the way. He was another one of the recent deaths. Aubrey Plaza. Will Ferrell was receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award. And Aubrey Plaza thought it would be funny and create a Hollywood moment if she ran up and tried to steal it from him. And Will Ferrell, I don't know if he just wasn't in the mood or what, but he looked at her like there was something wrong with her and like, what are you doing destroying my moment? And she just kind of stood there frozen like, I thought we were going to have fun. And it was one of the most awkward moments, I think, in acceptance speech history. Yeah, and I felt so bad for her. Because you'd think Will Ferrell would like play along, like, oh, we're doing a bit. No, he's like, why are you here?
Speaking of controversies, what do you all think about the "get my wife out your damn mouth"
the man should be locked up. Speaking of mentally ill, that man should be locked up.
Chris Rock, I mean, was that staged though, or do you think that was real?
That was so organic.
Ratings?
That was so legit. Chris Rock has spoken about that on several occasions. He waited for months. As he said, he needed to process it. And of course, people were trying to get him to talk about it. He didn't want to until he was good and ready. Yeah. But it was this heartbreaking story he tells me because I looked up to Will Smith. I loved Will Smith. When I was a struggling actor, he was Will Smith. And I guess inside it destroyed him. And I'm like, to this day, I want to deck Will Smith for that. I want to take a crack at him.
But people were analyzing the camera shots and like conspiracy theorists came out of the woodwork.
No, when it first happened, I did think it was staged, but
a lot of people did.
I changed my mind over time because with Hollywood, I just always assume, like as default, that this is staged, this isn't real because it's Hollywood. But the way people reacted to it, like the way that Chris Rock reacted to it, the way that Will Smith reacted to it, the way all of Hollywood basically reacted to it, kind of convinced me that it was real, that really happened.
I mean, his wife tried to hold him down.
He starts when he gets his acceptance speech, and he starts crying like a little leaguer who just got struck out. And I'm like, look, okay, you're gonna pull a stunt like that, you better be prepared to stand by it, you wuss. And I mean, I'm sorry, I'm
and taking jokes personally, like Chance was trying to say it earlier, but like a lot of people take the Oscar jokes way too seriously, way too personally. I like, back in the 80s and 90s where it was just considered basically a roast and they were okay with it. Those days are over. I mean, Ricky Gervais gets booed off the stage now, like
he's hilarious.
I love
Ricky.
Guys, you know who would have been a great Oscar host?
I like David
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams would have been fantastic.
Did he? Why didn't he ever host the Oscars, man?
Probably because they didn't trust him to keep it clean.
He probably didn't want to be honest with you. It probably didn't sound fun to him.
But like if he had done it with like Billy Crystal, like if the two of them had done it together, that would have been so good.
See, that's the thing. Is like why are they giving like in my opinion is why are they getting all these outsiders to host a show that like okay, why couldn't you have gotten somebody who's won an Oscar before to host the show? Like a Louis Gossett Jr. or somebody who's actually won something and then worked with that instead of getting a comedian up on stage who just happens to have like a talk show in the evening and doesn't do any film work whatsoever.
Well, Robin Williams
disconnected. Oh, I know that. But I'm just saying that there are other people like again, like I love Conan O'Brien. I actually went and saw one of his shows, but I mean, it's like, why him? Why couldn't it be somebody from the actual association themselves?
They want an MC type, I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm not trying to sound funny, but I mean, there's so many, good people from the film pool.
I agree completely. That's a great point, Tracy.
It really is.
But again, it's not about prestige anymore. It's about putting on a show, and I think that's the problem. So, yeah,
the mystique is gone.
Totally. And I get a lot of flack sometimes in my comment section because when I talk about older movies, I always talk about Academy Awards when a movie wins it or an actor wins it. I always talk about that, and people are like, "Why are you still talking about the Academy Awards? They don't mean anything." I'm like, "Yeah, they don't mean anything now, but they meant a lot back then."
Mhm.
Big time, yeah, because it meant you actually achieved something.
Yeah.
Now it seems like you're right. It's all political, or who's dealing out the hand of cards with the winners. It's like
Yeah.
playing in Vegas.
Tracy, breaking news. Guess who's hosting the Oscars next year?
Oh no!
Amy Schumer.
Oh, good God!
I'm joking.
Why would you say such a thing?
You better put her on
Why?
Piggybacking
No.
Tracy's point, it's always someone that has nothing to do with acting in terms of serious acting, in terms of winning an Oscar or being nominated as an Oscar. And what
It's
about
messed up that I believed you.
Yeah, we all did.
what about Marlon Brando, who did not appear
Oh, yeah,
when he
he,
won his plight with the American Indian?
Indians, right.
Yeah.
That was a big moment.
Stuff.
Yeah.
How about people who sold their Oscars?
Oh yeah.
In
That
fact,
happened a lot
the
more
man
than
was
you
actually
think, yeah.
living on Cape Cod when he died. I always get his name wrong. Howard Russell. He received a Best Supporting Actor for The Best Years of Our Lives. He's the guy who lost both his hands.
I can't remember.
His wife needed medical treatment, and he didn't have the money. He actually sold the Oscar for a pittance, but sold it for money. They
Jesus.
actually passed a rule that you can't sell your Oscar. The Academy still owns the actual trophy now, so you can't do that anymore.
Indy got it. Harold
Oh
Russell.
my God!
Harold Russell.
Yikes.
I said Howard Russell, didn't I?
Maybe I did. I'm
Or
sorry.
did I say Russell Howard? I'm always
you said
doing
Russell
that. I
Howard.
always
Me too, man.
because who I believe was the professor.
Audio dyslexia. Audio dyslexia. We get it reversed. How come Harrison Ford hasn't won an Oscar award? That breaks my heart. He was great in The Fugitive. Tommy Lee Jones got it, but not Harrison Ford. I don't think he was even nominated.
I mean, wasn't he in like American
Mosquito-
Graffiti too? And that was
Yeah.
a great movie. I thought
Mosquito
I loved that
Coast
movie.
was good, underrated. But there's so
He's
many.
outstanding in the Mosquito Coast. That
I
movie
think a
is
lot of
like-
the people who run the Academy see Harrison Ford as disrespectful because he's so honest in interviews.
Oh.
I can see that.
That would be my guess. That's just a guess off the top of my head. I don't know I don't know that for a fact. Obviously, I'm not in the business. Thank God.
It's so fun. I was just talking with somebody the other day about Blade Runner, and he said he even liked the Blade Runner version that has the narration, the old noir style narration.
Oh wow!
And it's funny because universally most fans of that movie don't like those, particularly because Harrison Ford, didn't he admit he didn't want to do that? So he has this like really detached, bored sound in his voice because he was basically doing it with like a gun to his head. He didn't want to do the narrations. Is that true?
Yeah,
I heard
Witness.
that.
Yeah, that's true.
The Witness, that was a nomination. Indy's right. Yeah, he's right. Witness was good, and I like What Lies Beneath. I mean, he's done some good performances.
Oh,
he's not a
and-
popcorn actor.
Yeah,
Air Force
I-
One. Hello.
And,
Get off
like
my
I said,
plane!
a lot of them. I mean, a lot of them have a range where they've done kiddie movies to comedy to drama and serious, crime movies and things like that. And it's like they never get recognized.
Harrison Ford was in Apocalypse Now.
That's
Yeah.
He's
true.
in the briefing. The
He was
briefing
in the
scene
beginning.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And no, that's one of the problems, I think, Nathaniel, is that like there hasn't been anything that's really replaced the Oscars. And I think it's time we find something that does that actually reflects quality. Because
Yeah,
the
the
Oscars don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
The Thrasher
Like a
Awards.
People's Choice for film only.
Yeah.
People's
I mean,
Choice encompasses a lot of pop culture, but
I do think the ones that don't have the big shows, like the SAG Awards or the DGA Awards or the WGA Awards, they all still are meaningful, but they're not as prestigious still as the Academy, obviously.
the Cable Ace Awards. I'm kidding. Remember that one?
I
Do
remember
remember
that.
Yeah.
I remember MTV awards.
Yeah, the MTV Movie Awards for a while there actually did mean something.
Yeah.
Which
Does
is pretty
Sabrina
cool.
Carpenter make out with an alien in those too?
Another one I thought should have won was Sigourney Weaver. I mean, she is really believable. She's been in all sorts of movies. She's been the femme fatale. She's been this one. She's been that one. She's been in chick flicks and down and out movies and all this other stuff. And that woman did not get anything for I mean, that was really kind of convincing, to a lot of us back in the day. See something crawling out of your belly like that. But no, seriously, she's great.
Yes, she is. And she also has a distinction of being the hottest woman ever to be named Sigourney.
Well, yeah, well,
Her first name is Susan in reality, but yeah.
she's a beautiful lady, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like a
And that
beautiful
blonde
inside
wig.
and out.
Galaxy
Yes, I know
Quest,
she
hello. Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
I mean,
She did Pepsi ads. And what about, oh God, with Harrison Ford? Oh,
Working Girl.
Working Girl.
She got
But-
She
That's
did
what I'm
get a
saying.
nomination for
It's
that.
like-
She also got a nomination
Yeah.
for Gorillas in the Mist, and I
It's
think she actually got nominated for Aliens as well.
it's crazy because these people think they're just one way, and it's like, yeah, they're pretty on the shell, but they're also beautiful on the inside. Look, like Farrah Fawcett, she gave to kids, and she bought school books for kids and things like that. She also had charity. She had Sigourney Weaver has charities where she's done stuff like that. They're
Absolutely.
philanthropists, which makes them even more special in my eyes because
I agree.
it's not just a shell, but it's the actual human being. It's like the one who played Dawn. Dawn on Gilligan's Island. She played
Dawn Wells.
Dawn Wells. She also is a philanthropist. All these people who give back, in my opinion.
Yes.
And I was so heartbroken.
yeah.
She lost all credibility because she got pulled over in a routine traffic stop, and they found a single marijuana cigarette, because you can't say joint, marijuana cigarette in her car. And for some reason, they crucified her for that.
I
And
did
I'm
not
like,
know that.
Dude, it's not the French Connection.
Wow.
And Don Wells was in The Invaders too, the year after Gilligan's Island was canceled, the season
Wow.
after. And can I quickly say, she Entertainment Tonight got this wrong. They had an episode where she was interviewed like in 2000 and something. And they said, we're going to reveal home movies that Don Wells shot on the set of Gilligan's Island with her Super 8 camera.
God.
It didn't say Super 8, but it was silent. It was the Invaders set. They were at the Vasquez Rocks that they used in Star Trek and Arena for a season 2 episode titled Dark Outpost. And it was clearly from the Invaders, and Entertainment Tonight claimed it was the set of Gilligan's Island. All right.
I liked Arena, the Gorn, my favorite. Next to Rodak.
I have heard everything you have said.
And the man in suit actor was the same
Yeah.
guy who did the rabbit in Shore Leave.
Oh well.
Yeah, I did not know that.
So hair today, Gorn tomorrow.
Yes.
I've been interviewed.
I'm Regorn.
Go ahead, Chance.
I've been invited to do a convention, and I'll tell you the name, April 4th, 5th, and 6th. And the woman inside the Salt Vampire Monster is going to be there.
Ooh,
And
awesome.
Marta Kristen, Judy from Lost in Space. I'm going to interview them.
Amazing.
So
Nice.
Very cool.
Chris invited me to that, and I got a media pass, even though I'm not traditional media. And
She also plays
say
a
the
mermaid in one of those old beach movies. It's the one that was later. It was the inspiration for the movie Splash. She plays Lorelai.
Oh yes,
In one of
yes,
the beach movies, yeah.
that's right,
Little-
that's right.
little kid
Good
hit.
movie.
Thrash and Tug and Tracy, did you know though that the woman who was in the Salt Vampire outfit in the Man Trap, the M113 creature, was also a Telosian in the pilot, The Cage, the original Star Trek pilot?
No, I did not.
Wow.
You're kidding.
Same
Oh,
lady. I didn't know
actually,
that
that's
either.
pretty
I'm going
cool.
to tell you the name of that convention. They deserve a mention. If you're in
Wow.
Duluth, Georgia, it'll be Duluth, Georgia, April 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Wow.
Find it.
I have to
Beach
remember
someone else
that.
blanket bingo.
Oh, thank you, Indy. Hey, Beach Blanket Bingo, is that the one that Stevie Wonder sings at the sings in?
I don't remember.
Stevie Wonder
They
is
all-
actually one of the talents in one of those old beach movies, and I thought it was Beach Blanket Bingo.
I
And
can't
he
remember.
referred
They
to as
all
Little
are
Stevie.
one
He was
giant
really young,
movie in
I
my
bet.
head.
He was like 8 or 9, I think.
Yeah, he was real young.
It's Stellar Fest. That's the name of the convention, April 4th through 6th in Duluth, Georgia at Sonesta Gwinnett Place. So set your phasers to fun, they say. And her name is Sandra.
Hey,
Sa-
Stella!
Sandra Gimple. That was the woman inside the costume, and she also was the Ovion in Battlestar Galactica, the creature.
All right,
And-
right.
Wow.
I mean, she did a bunch of stuff, but the teenage Spock from Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock is going through Pon farr, will be there
Yeah.
as well. And so anyway, just check it out on their website if you want to see more information about Stellar Fest. Just Google Stellar Fest.
It is, by the way, it is now canonical that Savick got pregnant from that.
Really?
Yep,
Wow.
it is now in canon that happened. That she had a
No,
son.
Dang.
excellent. I had heard that ages ago. Now, does that mean the Squire Trelane is actually the child of Q?
I don't think that has been officially announced in canon, but
I'm gonna
it
push
is in
for
my
it.
head.
I'm thank
Oh
you,
my
Tug.
God,
I'm
that's
pushing
funny.
for that one. I'm pushing for that one. You know?
But yeah,
And of
it's
course,
from
Joe-
that unification short that they put out that is in canon. It actually shows Savick and her son. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
by the
Al
way,
Hardy's
wait,
asking if oh, sorry, go ahead.
my battery's about to die, so if I kick out, it's not me being rude. It's just like literally my battery's giving out.
Yeah.
But that's
Well, I'm about to put an end to it anyway. So
Oh, you are? Okay, cool.
Al Hardy had asked 30 minutes ago if he's still there. Did you mention this Hackman movie, Mississippi Burning? I did.
yes.
With
Mhm.
Willem Dafoe. Yeah. As the
Mhm.
son of the Hackman is just horrible.
Mhm.
There are so many actors I want to talk about. I might do this again next week because, like I said,
Oh,
in
could
2
we?
weeks, 2 weeks
Yeah.
we're gonna do Superman 3, but next week maybe we'll just do this again
Could we? There's plenty
Yeah.
more we can talk about.
because there's so
We'll do
many.
an
I
Oscar
got a
wrap-up.
list like a mile long.
We'll have to do an Oscar wrap up, and I will be watching Tug. Wait, where are you? You're
I'm
this
up
way.
here.
There you go.
You're down.
Are you going to watch Tracy and Bob? Bob, you'll probably be live when the Oscars are starting, right?
Yeah, I'm not watching the Oscars tonight. I'm going to be honest with you.
Me too.
I didn't see a single movie nominated.
Yeah, I
I
watched
didn't
Amelia
either.
Perez, and as you can tell, I kind of wish I hadn't.
I haven't seen anything.
If you guys can multitask, hopefully you can still pop into my show while you're watching the Oscars.
I'll probably
I'm
like
gonna
show up in
pop
the
into
chat
your
and say
show.
hi here and there. Yeah,
I will, because I don't watch the Oscars.
Thank
I
you.
mean,
I don't know
I
why.
would
I don't
still-
even know why I do it, but I do it every year.
Well, it's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying I never saw any of the
Tradition.
movies out there, and I didn't really care to. So
I'm watching for In Memoriam and to learn about some movies I might have
that's
missed.
the only thing I would see is In Memoriam and who their Legacy of the Year or whatever it's called.
Thank you for your sympathy.
And Conan O'Brien, Team Coco.
Yeah.
See what he does. But
hmm
We've
guys
talked
all-
about Edmund Gwenn on this channel before, but just not the best actors.
hey, before you pull the plug, shout out to Martin Landau, who won an Oscar for Ed Wood, one of my
Yes.
favorite actors of all time, who I had lunch with in 2011 on the set of Anna Nicole, the Lifetime TV movie. Anyway, he was such a nice man, and I'm so glad he won an Oscar before he stopped aging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like to say,
Yeah.
instead of they died, something I came up with, they stopped aging. I'm going to start using that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that worked. That
I
worked.
think
it's also the closest Bela Lugosi ever got to a Academy Award. So
pull the string,
Oh,
pull the string. And who knew the guy was like hooked on heroin? Jeez.
yeah, man, he was on all
Everyone.
sorts of stuff.
Everyone.
Well, his life story is very depressing.
It's tragic.
Anyway,
Indy's asking what's the trivia tonight, Bob?
yeah, what is it?
It's going to be on people we've recently lost. I know some people find that to be kind of grim, but we lost so many in the last like 5 days. We lost so many icons. Now I must say it's skewed to Gene Hackman. 3 questions involve him. The rest, person gets 1 question. But it's
Good.
going to be on
look
recent
forward to it.
fallen
Maybe I'll
comrades.
get one this time around.
I don't think that's uncouth. I think that's just a way of honoring them. Like we're
Mhm.
supposed to remember them, not like
That's right. Forget them.
not forget about them. You know, like yeah.
Well, I mean,
Thank you,
it's-
Vicky.
some people just get depressed talking about the fallen, and
I
I
mean, I can
understand
understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but in this case, there are so many. I'm like, I have to at least talk about it, or it'll be the elephant in the room if I don't.
The beard does look very good on Chance, by the way.
I just
don't
it
like
works
the
on
gray.
Chin.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get some just for men.
There you
Oh
go.
God, no! Leave it alone. You look great.
Thanks.
The hell with all that pettiness.
The better you can cover this ugly mug, the better.
Oh,
The
stop
more
it.
you cover it.
Well, I would like to come back as somebody famous and beautiful too, but I'm just.
It's been a pleasure to be with you, Tracy, and of course,
Always.
Thrash and Tug.
Likewise, I'm sure.
As always, and I'm looking forward to Superman
Everybody.
3, Tug.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. We'll talk about 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now.
Yeah,
We'll talk
And,
about Superman.
we miss Damien, so it's no slight to him. I just like being on with Tracy as well. It's a treat.
I love
Yeah.
you too. Good
Take
guy.
care, everyone.
Be
Okay.
good. Happy health.
And yeah, good night or afternoon.
Thank you and good night.